What's up guys, Honor here, back with a second video on the channel, and today I'll be going over a Goatman guide since it's been highly requested on my stream, and I want to go in depth about the do's and don'ts and what you can take advantage of with Goatman. So with all that being said, let's get into it and let's hop into the custom. Alright guys, we're into the match. So the first thing I want to go over is how Goatman cages work. So with that being said, let's say you throw a cage, right? Because people don't know where you'll end up when you play Goatman. So if you throw a cage and you look at the other side, you'll see that there is a circle. Now I know this is hard for just normal Goatman cages since I'm using the accessory, but you know, for the people with the accessory, it'll be bright white, and then with the people without the accessory, it'll be like white and bluish, so it's kind of hard to see. So when you throw it on the cage, you'll see that there's a circle. So when you go through the cage, you'll pop out where the circle is. You go through the cage, you pop out where the circle is. So the way I would say to know how to pop out is, I would say just practice, just go in customs, practice when and where you'll pop out your cage, and you'll see how to put that into a real match. Now, what the second thing I want to go over is black caging slash black windowing. So what do you mean, Honor? So what I mean is, if you throw a cage like, let's do over here actually. So if you throw a cage like this, you'll see, if you go back to the cage, that there is like a black like smoke on top of it. So what does that black smoke mean? When a cage covers a pallet, that means that the survivor cannot go over it, and that means that they can't vault it. They can't, basically the pallet is like a wall. So why is this important? Well, it stops like OP looping with like OP pallets, and also it technically gives the hunter advantage since people don't know what the black palleting is, where usually I played ranked matches where I would do it to survivors and lower tiers, and they would like look confused and probably thinking that they could vault it when in reality they can't. Now, with that being said, you can do that with windows. Correct? You can do that with windows. So, with that being said, let's go over here. So let's say if you throw the cage like this, you go through it, it's a black window. And what does that mean? You can't go over it. So, with that being said, this tip is really good because it stops survivors from, one, looping OP pallets that they thrown, two, making the pallets basically unusable since they can't loop you on them or they can't vault them, and plus it guarantees, or I don't want to say guarantees, but it benefits you to get an early hit in your chase. So now let's go over the kickback. So with the kickback, what I mean is this little mechanic where you can just kick back. So there is a trick you can do with the kickback where you'll see, like, usually if hunters are, or when Goatmans are behind a survivor, usually they'll kick back to gain distance. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just, you know, cage them and hit them. But if you don't really have energy, because your energy management at your bottom, then you could just kick back and then just hit them, and then wait for your next cage to pop up. So with that being said, I want to go over more in depth about the cages. So you got 9, 12, 15. Why is this important, you may ask? It's because 9 takes the lowest amount of energy, 12 takes a medium amount of energy, and 15 takes the most. So if we throw out a 9 cage, let me do it. Let me see. So you throw out a 9 cage, it takes that much energy. If you throw out a 12 cage, it takes like half your energy or almost half your energy. And then if you take out a 15 cage, it basically, I say you can do like 2 15 cages before your energy gets depleted. So with that being said, usually in your early game, you want to use the lowest amount of energy possible to benefit, your early game. Like, there's a thing that high tier players say when you play Goatman. If you down your first chase in 2 cages, it's a win. If you take 3 or more cages to down somebody, it's most likely a tie or a loss. So usually your goal of playing Goatman is to down people in 2 cages. If you have to, down them in 3, but it'll be like harder to win, and it most likely will generate a tie. So you'll go from either a win in 2 cages, or you'll go from a hard tie to a loss in 3 cages. So that's why you need energy or resentment saving. So now, with the last thing I want to show y'all, because I don't want to drag the video on too long. What the last thing I want to show y'all is movement with the cages. So you usually see Goatmans do something like this, right? They'll kick back, cage. I mean, I messed it up, but they'll kick back, cage. So what that does is, let's say you don't want to use TP. You don't want to use, you shouldn't even run Warp 1 Goatman, but let's say if you don't want to use TP and you want to save your TP for like TP into a cipher that's like getting started, or TP into the gate. You'll see Goatmans do something like this where they'll 15 cage, they'll do a kickback, and then they'll cage, and then cage. And you just went all the way from reception to back gate. So it's a tip, or not even a tip, but it's a trick you can do to generate movement. Keep in mind you have to time it right, because if you don't time it correctly, then you can get stuck on the cage, and it won't really let you go through it with the kickback. So remember, it's 1, 2. I just messed up again, but let's say I just did it correctly. Maybe I need to do it like a 9 cage because I'm a bot, but it's okay. So remember, you kick back, 1, 2, and there you go. And then you can swing afterwards. So there's one thing I want to tell y'all. It is red caging. So what does red caging do? Red caging does is they can't go through it, but it's still a cage at the end of the day. So what I mean is, let's say if you throw this cage and then you throw another cage, you see how that cage becomes red? So what that means as a red cage is that means that you can't really go through it. Like, you can go in it, but you can't go through it. So with that being said, how does a red cage help? A red cage can help by blocking off basement. You'll usually see Goatmans try to prevent the basement rescue, or try to slow it down for the double hit. So it's good for basement rescuing, cutting off people early. So you usually see a Goatman do something like this, where let's say there's somebody chair right there. They'll do like this, and then they'll cage you and him in, and then they'll just do like that. And with a red cage, you can't go through it, but the only way you can go through it is by going on the opposite side and then going inside the red cage. Now, I'm going to put my build in the middle left of the screen. Whenever editing Honor does it, I'll put my build that I use for Goatman. The 3 traits that you want to use for Goatman is Peepers, Blink, or Abnormal. It's depending on team comp and preference. So it's up to y'all to decide what y'all will choose for your trait. And that's pretty much it for the Honor Guide Goatman video. So the next character I'm thinking about doing is either Ivy or Hullabaloo. whichever one y'all want, I'll do it. Just leave a comment, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I gladly appreciate it, and it will help with the channel. And make sure to share the video to your friends if they're getting into Hunter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If this video helped you anyway, I'm glad it did. And I'll see y'all later in the next video. Honor out.